if I murder somebody, do you know what I'm really doing? I'm saying that this world would be a better place without you. Right? If I go out to murder somebody, the reason why I'm murdering them is because I believe that this world would be a better place without them. And you'll say, well, that's how you would deal with a person physically. But how does that relate to God when God says there's only one God and you can have no other gods besides me? Okay, what does that mean? Well, do you know you can actually murder God by cutting him out of your life. You know how we murder people? Yeshua said, be careful, that you harbor anger inside of your heart. Scripture and the apostolic writings does not tell you that you can't be mad. Look,
it says be
mad,
angry.
You'll know it. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to let you know it. You tick me off. In fact, I want to bop you right in the nose. In fact, I'd like to take you out, and it's not to dinner. If you're on my hit list, I'm going to let you know you're on my hit list. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to keep it inside. This is what Yeshua meant when he said, do not hate your brother in your heart. See, hating your brother in your heart means that I hate you inside, but I'm going to pretend like everything's hunky-dory. That's hating your brother in your heart. I won't do it. I hate people. I let people know, I don't like you. I hate you. You're my enemy. I've told people. I've said, stay away from me. Because if you don't, I'll kill you. I don't play with people. I'm only going to hang around with people who are going to benefit me. But I'm going to reach out to the people who don't benefit me for the sake of them actually coming to God. Because it's not about me. When my brother was raped by a man, and then my brother became, attached to a homosexual community out of Denver, Colorado on Capitol Hill, and my brother Bob, who was a big political figure in Colorado, called me up at college and he said, I saw David on Capitol Hill. I knew what that meant. And then David was prostituting himself. And so my little brother, so I said, I'm coming home this weekend. Came home that weekend, my freshman year in college. That was a tragic year. Found out about my brother, about the devastating lifestyle he got trapped into because he got raped by a man and he didn't know of any hope. My father had died. My mom was seeing another man now that my father was dead. And my little brother had no connection with my dad. He's missing a man in his life. This is the only lifestyle. He thinks that he's homosexual, gay, when he's not. And so I told my brother Bob, I'm coming home this weekend. I drove 18 hours back to my house. I got back to my house in Littleton, Colorado, drove all night long. Got there, found out David was working at the Holiday Inn or the Hilton Inn downtown Denver. And so I went down there. I informed him that I was coming to see him. He was happy to see me. A couple of his, I called them Bufu buddies. Okay, I went up to those two boys that were doing all kinds of things, atrocities to my brother. And I literally went in their face and I said, if I hear that you touch my brother again, I will come and kill you. I will kill you and nobody will know. I will kill you and you will be off this planet. Do you understand me? Now this back when I was in college, I was big, I was strong, I was intimidating, still had a baby face. But boy, I could snap you in half. And I went, you do it, I will kill you. I said, David, I'm going to come and pick you up after work. I came and picked him back up to work, took him back home. He began to tell me the story. He said, when I was 11 years old, when that man sent you out of the house, he actually raped me. And he said he was actually trying to get you at my age of 16. He was trying to get me involved in male prostitution. I had a beautiful baby face, that was back then before I gave all my good looks away to my kids. And then, a handsome body, a strong body and everything like that. And this guy was targeting me. But he got my little brother instead. And my little brother is pouring out his heart to me. And he said, and he raped me. And he says, and so I've only known one thing in life. And the only thing that I've known is that I needed love somewhere and I must be gay. So I had to receive it from men. And that's why I'm down on Capitol Hill. And I said, oh, my heart, it broke for my little brother, Now my threat was even more real. It was more real than ever. So I took him to work. I'm getting ready to leave back to college because I got to be back in class. I warned those boys again. If I hear you touch my brother, I will come home, I will find you, and I will kill you. Do you understand? And that was all I needed to say. So I took my baby face and my big body and I walked out of there, and then I went back to college. I came home for summertime. I took David to work every day. By the way, Tom, of course I wasn't pointing at you. Okay? I'm just letting you know that day was like serious as a heart attack. So then I came home for summer. I took my brother to work every day. I picked him up every day. I took him to work every day. I picked him up. I took him to work. I picked him up. I took him to work. I picked him up. That summer he accepted Christ. That summer he repented of all the pain that he had experienced. That summer his life changed. That summer he got a girlfriend, a good, appropriate relationship with his girlfriend. Okay, it was great. It looked like this was hog heaven. Everything was good. It was going in the right direction. It looked like everything was perfect. And then I go back to school. Everything is great. First semester is great. David's doing great. He's living, he's thriving, he's fresh, he's new, he's a new creation. All kinds of good stuff are going on. And then, second semester, those perverts come back into his life. And they start contacting him, and he doesn't know what to do. And he doesn't call me and let me know. So what ends up happening is he's screaming for help. He's screaming at the top of his lungs for help without saying a word. So what does he do? Now this breaks my heart. This tears my heart apart because my mom lived with me the last 10 years of her life, and she dealt with this pain in the story. And I'm telling you this story so you never go through this pain in your story, in your history. So my little brother, and this doctor was an asshole. This doctor is an asshole, and I don't hold back on saying that. He is an asshole. My little brother, he committed suicide by laying down behind the car, and he carbon monoxide poisoning. And here's why I say that, and that's why I don't even hold back in saying that, because I would just rip that guy to shreds. That day, my little brother, at 11:55, he laid down underneath the car. 5 minutes of carbon monoxide won't do anybody anything. It'll just make you kind of cough a few times. My mom didn't get home till 12:15 that day. She's always home at noon. My little brother knows that she's home at noon every day. 11:55, he lays down underneath. He's crying out. He's begging for somebody. Please help. Please help. Please help. I don't know what to do. Please help. My mom gets home at 12:15. She finds my little brother dead underneath the car. 12:15. The coroner, that asshole, he says, if you'd have been home at noon, I just wanted to take him and I just wanted to pound him into the fucking ground. I just wanted to drive him into the ground. Makes me so stinking mad when people are... Drives me nuts. I hate that kind of stuff. Forgive my language, I hate it. When I see you hurt, I hate it. I will defend you with my life. That's real life. My mom lived with that her whole adult life. Until my daughter Megan led her to Christ. Now, she still didn't know how to deal with it, but I remember one day my mom is laying in her bed. I have to pick her up. I'm changing her diapers. I'm feeding her. I'm bathing her. I'm doing everything. And I'm sitting on the ground as though Rosie or my mom laying in the bed. And I said, Mom, you can let it go. It wasn't your fault. My mom let it go. She said, okay, I don't know how to do it. I said, Mom, I don't know how to do it either. I just know that God can do it. So let's just pray, Mom, and let's let God do it. He'll do the work. It's not magical abracadabra. Boom, presto magico, it's gone. I'm sorry. I'm not and I am. So please accept that. I'm not and I am. But I'm telling you, you hurt somebody I love, I'm on your doorstep, baby.
The vultures.
I'm on your doorstep. You hurt my little friend over there, I'm on your doorstep.
Yeah.
You hurt my friend right there, I'm on your doorstep. I'm in your face. You will know you met me. And you will not like it because I will chew you up and spit you out. You will not win. I mean business. That's why I just maintain my silliness sometimes. Because I want you to know I'm not just stiff and rigid. God's still working on my heart. This is obviously a painful spot. Because I dealt with it with my mom for 10 years. Her pain. And I hear your stories. And I have that pain. I feel it. I don't know your exact same scenario, but I know it. And God allows me to be able to wake up in the middle of the night because you got to pray for Tom. You got to pray for Rosie. You got to pray for Tina. You got to pray for Veronica. You got to pray for Wesley. You got to pray for the kids. You got to pray for Joseph. You got to pray for Hunter. He's getting ready to go to Pakistan. He's getting ready to marry. He needs all the wisdom he can get. He needs that. Ron's going to lose his best friend temporarily until they come back together again. Man, those are holes in life. Those are real stuff. Do you know how you murder God? By ignoring him. The worst kind of, going back to this point, the worst kind of, the way you murder a person is ignore them. That's worse. Kill me, just don't ignore me.
Sure.
Hate me, just don't ignore me.
Yeah.
I'll take your hatred any day over nothing.
Amen.
Don't be neutral to me. Hate me. At least hating me is better than nothing. It's some kind of connection.
Right.
Okay, I'll take it. Abuse me. Physically beat me. Physically yell at me. Drink yourself into a tizzy and then slap me around. That's better than ignoring me. This is how the first and the sixth are identified when he says there's no other God. There's only one God. You can have no other gods. In other words, if you have another God in your life, guess what you've just done? You've just killed him by ignoring him. This is why, Ron, you can have no other gods before him, not in between you, before him. So nothing in your life can be outside of God. Okay, do you comprende this? Do you understand? With my graphic, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for using that. Please learn a valuable lesson.
Wouldn't that become
from me,
conforming to his image? Because, you know, the passion that you're showing from the hurt from your own life and your family. I use some of those choice words from time to time. But it's almost like this righteous anger where you're trying to conform. You know, like you're taking on someone else's pain. So, like, say, you got up for Brother Tom today, who's been hurting the last couple of days, extreme. You took his pain on yourself as Messiah would do for us. You know, like, you know, this is just my thought, but you know how he says, hey, you know what? He took the sins of the world upon himself. He took this thing where he's like, hey, he didn't sit in the places, you didn't sit in the place and say, you know, because I might have handled that situation differently if my little brother or had come home and said, I would have probably been like, my God, you're out of my life. Right? I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Because we think these thought processes through our heads like, ooh, that's beneath me, or this, you know, you lift yourself. But that's not the reality. The reality is we're supposed to conform and take that upon ourselves and then stand in the gap for your little brother or for Tom or for Veronica or for Joseph. But we stand in this place of high, lofty pride where we feel we are God in the place of judgment as God, determining whether one has a value or does not have the value.
Yep, I resemble that remark.
By voicing quickly the displeasure towards, say, the one in our lives or friends, family, spouse, all that, we're actually, as you often say, we're just showing our displeasure towards ourselves. Yeah. Because we see the very thing within that person that we don't like about ourselves.
Which I think every single one of us know that for a reality. Anna?
So some of the trauma stuff that I've learned is the worst pain you can go through is, they call it what you're saying, but they use a different word, is being erased.
Being erased.
Being erased. That's the worst pain that you can go through, is being erased.
Yep. It is. It's ignoring something. I use the word ignored, but erased is actually better.
Well, that doctor erased your brother in that moment, your mother and his feelings, by, oh, you would have done that. He just erased.
He erased it.
Erased it.
Wow. This is the first and the sixth connected.
I don't know if we'll get through all of them.
Yeah, I'll go quickly, but the second is, you shall not make any graven images. What does that mean, to make a graven image? So for instance, if you don't make a graven image of something that's in heaven or something that's on earth, but yet I have a menorah in my house, would that be a graven image? Well, it's been said by the sages that the menorah that Moses made for the earthly tabernacle was different than the one in the heavenly tabernacle. It had all of the features, but by size-wise and dimension, it wasn't the same. So it wasn't a type and a type. It wasn't a perfect image of. Just like man was created in the image of God. This is why you don't kill another man, because you're destroying the image of God. You're taking them out as though that they're like they're worthless. I love the word erased. I'm just going to use that from now on. You're erasing them out. I think that's really sticking with me. It's really good. I appreciate that. Thank you. So if I make a graven image, what am I actually doing? I'm adding something into my life in a form of worship. What's adultery? It's adding another relationship into my life beyond the one that I should have. That's a graven image. A graven image is adding something into my life that takes away my focus and my solidarity and my, unification with one, and it's adding another. What is adultery? That's saying my honey bunny's not enough for me, so I'm adding another one who actually becomes my idol. And so this person becomes more important than my oneness. Do you see the connection between the two? The third one is, you shall not take the name of your God in vain. Now, what this literally means, you shall not take. The word here for take means to commit robbery. Okay, you shall not rob God's name and make it vain. In other words, so I would imagine, that your new last name is now Mark's last name. Is that correct? Okay, so you took on Mark's name. So now what you've done by taking on his name, and by the way that you've, in the time that I've known you, I've never heard you say or represent his life and his name, his character, in a way that's not negative. But I would bet he's probably not flawless. Okay, it's just a guess. It's just a guess. Okay, we know that's not true, but it's just my guess.
That's not negative or is negative?
No, I'm saying that I was being very facetious. That I said she doesn't represent his name, his character, in front of anybody. That wouldn't be a beautiful way of representing his name. She has taken his name upon her, and she's representing it properly. Versus I was saying, but I would suggest that he's probably not without flaw. Okay, even though we know that he's perfect. Okay, without flaw. So she's taken on his name not in vain. Now she could do this. She could take on his name, and then she could go out and badmouth him and live in such a way that the name in which she's taken is not a true representation of his name. This is what it means to take the name of the Lord your God in vain. To not take the name of the Lord your God in vain means don't represent his character through your life in a way that is empty. So don't rob his name of the character in which it was designed to portray. Because the word name in Scripture, the name, Hashem, is the word for character. So when we speak of God's name, it's not about, the Scripture doesn't say, those who pronounce pronounce his name correctly. It's those who call upon his name. They shall be saved. It's calling upon his character. It's calling upon who he is. But in order to call upon his name, and here's one for you that'll curl your nose hairs. Okay? Do you know that there's not one instance, not one, zero, zip, zilch, nada, tostada, empty, cipher, zero. There are 0 instances in the Word of God where an unsaved, unredeemed, unregenerate individual calls upon the name of the Lord. The only person who can call upon the name of the Lord is a blood-bought, sanctified child of God. That's it. You can't call upon a name you don't know. If I need a healer, Tom, I call on Jehovah Rapha, the God who is my healer, but I got to know him. If I need a plumber, I call Ron Norris or Hunter Norris. Okay? If I need a framer, I call so-and-so. If I need somebody who does t-shirts, I call so-and-so. If I've got somebody who I need meal cooked real well, I call Veronica. I know who to call for everything because I know who does what. So with God, who has over 100 different names, if I know his name, I know who to call upon, which aspect to call upon his name. And when I call upon his name, he will save me, deliver me through my circumstance. If I need him, I'm going into battle, and I need him to be my Nisi, my banner. I call upon the Lord, who is my banner. I need you to go before me so that when the enemy sees that flag, they know that I am underneath your headship. If I need, my life is going through the ringer. I've got a lot of stress. A, B, and C is going on inside of my life. I need his shalom. I call on the Lord, who is my peace. So if I don't know his name, his character, who do I call on? Well, most people just call upon the Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord. Well, that's good. But if you know his name, you have to know his character. And that's why not in one place, even in Romans chapter 10, verse 13, which is probably a verse that you've got memorized. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. That is not an unsaved, unredeemed individual calling upon the name of the Lord if you read the previous 12 verses. They are people at Mount Sinai who are coming into covenant relationships saying, whatever you say, we will do. If you confess the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, not that Jesus died on the cross, that God has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. He's not talking about the salvation in the past. He's talking to individuals who are already in the family of God for about the salvation, which is where? In the future yet to come. But everybody and their grandmother will teach, well, that's how you become saved, calling upon the name of the Lord. I don't even know him. How can I call upon him? I mean, how can I call upon him? I mean, I can't call Ron if I got plumbing issues, if I don't know Ron's a plumber. He's a master plumber. Hunter's an apprentice who will be a master one day. Okay? If I want somebody who's like a guru master in essential oils, I know who to call. I know who to call. If I need somebody and my plumbing's clogged up inside, I know who to call. Okay? The poop doctor. Okay? You know what? If I'm confused on history of the Mennonites, I know who to call. Plus 100 other things. Okay? So are you tracking with me? Or you understand? You understand? Okay, remember, understand means you're standing under it. I agree with that. That's a good thought. Okay, hang on to your thought. Okay? Then, so, not taking the name of the Lord your God in vain, to not take, is a term of robbery. So, what is the 8th Devarim say? You shall not steal. Okay? So don't take his name and put it into a place that it was never designed to be. Okay, number 4. Remember the Sabbath day. You say, well, wait a minute. How does remembering the Sabbath day to keep it holy have anything to do with bearing false witness? Well, it's really simple. Because when I remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, I'm standing on the truth of what that day was designed to be. That day was designed to be a day of covenant. It was a day designed to be the wedding ring. It was a day designed for the whole world to be able to see, oh, I see you have a covenant relationship with the one true Elohim, the one true God, the maker of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, I see that. You keep the Sabbath. And so your life is bearing the truth, and it's not bearing false witness concerning your relationship with him. Number 10, honor your mother and father. Now, this is interesting, because how does honoring your mother and father, how does that have anything to do with not coveting your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's possession? Because when you honor your mother and father, what you're doing, honoring your mother and father does not mean you agree with them. That's not what honor means. And oftentimes, I've had people come up to me who, have got moms who are hurt, and they'll say, you know what, you just need to learn to honor your mother and father. In other words, what mom's saying or what dad's saying is, you need to learn how to just do what I say, no matter what your age is. Now, when I honor my mother and father, my mom wasn't a believer for the majority of her life. I'm not going to do what she says, because she's telling me to do things that, frankly, don't line up with God. But when I honor her, what I do is I listen to her. And I go, Mom, you're worthy of me listening to. You gave me life. You gave me life. You bore me in your womb. You carried me. That's why me changing my mom's diapers, I remember the first time I gave her a bath and she was uncomfortable and I was uncomfortable. And I just laughed. I laughed as I was bathing her body there. I put her in the tub. And as soon as I put her in the tub, I just started laughing. I said, turnaround's fair play, isn't it, Mom?
She bathed you?
I go, how many times did you bathe my body? I go, Mom, I count this as an honor, a privilege. You bathed my body, you wiped my butt, you took care of me, you fed me. When I spit up and I was sick, you were there, Mom. This is an honor for me. I told my mom that the first time I put her in the tub. So from that point on, it was easy breezy. It wasn't a matter of seeing my mom in her nakedness. It was a matter of just going, this is truly an honor, So when I began to recognize here that my parents are life givers to me, and I can't be my mom and dad, but I can honor my mom and dad, then really what I'm doing by not coveting my neighbor's wife, if I covet my neighbor's wife, most people would say, well, that means that you want to be with his wife. It's really interesting that it doesn't say, and you shall not covet your neighbor's husband. Don't you find that interesting that it doesn't say that? Because most women are not in the modality of coveting another man. They submit wholeheartedly with every ounce of energy they've got for that. Okay? But you should not covet your wife. See, it's not the wife that the person wants to covet. What they really want to covet is they want to covet being that man. So let's say I have a really nice TV, which I don't. But let's say I have one of those big 72-inch screen TVs to where the football players look like they're the same size as me. Okay, one of those big dudes. Okay? And let's say that I've got one of those and Ron says to me, he goes, man, I want that TV. I said, well, Ron, let's go down to Best Buy and let's go get you one of those 72-inch TVs. He goes, no, I want that one. Now that's coveting. But Ron doesn't want my TV.
He just wants to be you.
Ron wants me. He wants to be me. The individual who's coveting his neighbor's possessions, you can go out and get possessions anytime you want. But what he's doing is he's coveting. He wants to be the person who owns these. That's what he wants. He wants something that's not him. That's why I always tell people, I go, don't try to be somebody you're not, just be you. Which is the hardest thing in this world to do, you know, especially when you got sports heroes and rock stars and, you know, every kind of idol that's out there, you know, trying to tell you, be like me. Now we got drag queens being introduced in our school, which, good thing I'm not teaching school anymore. I'd tell you how the cow eats the cabbage. As soon as she drag her queen butt in there, I'd say, you just drag that sucker out, and I'm going to help you. Come on. And it's not prom. Okay?
Now that's funny. It ain't prom, you. Whatever you
prom,
are.
honey. Okay. So what do these all have to do with? So now these are specific because what happens is when you start matching up these with these, and you match up erasing people out of your life or erasing God out of your life, or not honoring your mother and father and replacing them with something else, not taking who you are where you are. Okay? So Wesley, you know what? I'm just going to shoot straight with you. You've gone through some pain in your life. No bones about it. Okay? But do you know what? The fact of the matter is God's using every bit of that pain, confusion, stuff where things are being said and you don't understand it and that kind of stuff. He's developing you into a man.
Yeah, he is.
And he's using all of that pain. So be careful, warning to you, be careful not to dishonor the source that gives you life to desire to have something that's not yours. Understand that God, who orchestrates all things in life, has got a specific plan for you. He had you born to a beautiful mother, to a father who gave you life, and you got raised up in an environment that was good, bad, not good, bad, not good, bad, same as everybody. I mean, just listen to my story. But now what God's doing is he's going above everything. Honor your mother and father. Don't dishonor them, because in dishonoring the one who gave you life, then when you start to dishonor them, what you do is you begin to dishonor another man's property, his wife and his possessions. So honor that by honoring this. Okay? Make sense? Okay. So by doing this, 1 with 5, now 1 with 5, what it does for me is it says, okay, so I'm not going to erase this individual. I'm not going to murder this individual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to honor the one who gives me life. I'm going to honor the one who gives me life. I'm not going to murder. I'm not going to do away with him so that I can have his possessions. Okay, number 2 goes with number 4. 2 is the graven images, adding something into my life that wasn't designed to be there. Okay, number 4 remembering the Sabbath day. So if I'm not honoring the Sabbath day, then what I'm doing is I'm substituting something in its place. And then by doing that, I'm bearing false witness. Number 3, if I don't take the name of the Lord my God in vain and I honor it for what it is and I don't steal, then what happens is all 3 of these segments come together with, as Nan said earlier, the word that's R-E-S-P-E-C-T. That's what, however that song goes. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Respect. If you learn respect, and respect is this. I'm going to give you the definition of respect so you'll know it, but this is what the purpose behind the 10 Devarim are. Respect is this. In every single relationship in your life, there is a line. Respect says, that's yours, honey. That's yours. And that's yours. And that's yours, not mine. If you can learn the boundary of respect, and I won't teach this to you now, but I will show you the key to life. The key to every relationship, the first step of life. The first step in business, the first step in dating, the first step in marriage, the first step in your taking care of your body is respect. You cannot love somebody without respect. But you can respect somebody and not love them. I respect Joe Biden as the President of the United States, regardless of how he got there. I respect him because he's in that position, but I'll guarantee you I don't love that guy. But if I love you, if you I love, you can guarantee I respect you. And if I respect you, then I won't cross the boundaries that you've given to me. This is the key to life. When I demonstrate my love to you, once I've respected, now I can go up to the second level. Second level is love. And when I begin to love you, I can go up to the third level of relationship where I stand in awe of you. The closer I get to you, the more in awe I am of you. I can say that about you without a shadow of a doubt. 100%. Veronica, I've known you for years. I can say that honestly without a shadow of doubt. The closer I get to you, the more in awe I am of you, of all you do. Julie, I know your testimony of all the girls is the exact same way, the way you feel about them, but I can tell you that the way they talk about you, they wouldn't be the women they are today without you. You've impacted their lives. The closer they get to you, the more in awe they are of God's work inside of you. This is true relationship. Suzanne, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the closer I get to you, the more in awe I am of you. I didn't say nobody's without flaws. I'm in awe. When I was with my kids here recently, we were in Dripping Springs, and they have one of the two observatories in America that have a certain high-powered, telescope. And we were looking at a dying star. And we were looking at it dying right before our midst. And the closer we were zooming in on it, the more in awe I was of it. It's unlike a parlor trick, sleight of hand. When you're trying to figure it out, but then when you see how the trick works, it's just a trick. When you start with respect, you can now love. In the Garden of Eden, the issue of the sin was they didn't respect God. God said, that's my tree, not yours. And they said, but we want to be God. So God said, okay, enjoy the munch munch. Now I'm going to put you outside of the garden and let you be God. Go ahead. Do your own thing. Respect. When my mind wants to do something, this is in my mature stage. It should come next week. But in my mature stage, my mind wants something in my desires, but out of respect, I don't cross that boundary. Though my flesh says, go for it. But my mind says, respect. You cannot love without respect. So if somebody says they love you, but they don't respect you, they're a bunch of full of hot air. They're spinning a story. They're spinning a web that they want to trap you in. You must have respect before love comes, but you can respect somebody without loving them. But you can't love without respect. Once again, this is not doesn't make you mean you make mistakes. This means, but that's respect. It's respect. Anna?
I was just thinking about the respect world of like the definition of like respect, because some people feel like, oh, well, you didn't respect me because you didn't give me what I wanted. And so then they're like, I'm disrespected. But they don't understand the intent is if you gave it to them, it would be disrespectful to them, but they don't realize that. Like the opposing of the wife. I'm just saying a man could feel very disrespected when they're actually trying to oppose them for a danger.
Right, exactly right. And that's one of the challenges, and this is what is called manipulation. Mm-hmm. And that's why one of the things I've taught you over the past couple of weeks is you got to learn this. What is this?
Forsake.
It's forsaking. You got to learn how to forsake. You got to take your hands off. But there's a time like with your kids when you have to tell them, this is how the cow eats the cabbage, and this is what we're doing, this is all that there is to it. Now shut up. Get in line. I would never say that to my kids, but I'd say get in line. We got to do this. For your own safety, do this. For your own benefit, do this. You're demonstrating respect. But in relationship to us, my boundaries, I've got to keep the boundary so that you are respected. And if I can respect you in that, then if God ever gives us that level of love, then that will be even greater. But then I'm not satisfied with just loving somebody. I want to be in awe of them. I want to be in awe of how they think, how they move, how they live, how they breathe, how they act, everything. I want to see every detail in its beauty, in its infinitesimal detail, so that they recognize themselves. I am a masterpiece in the hands of God. That's what I want. This is my heart's desire as I continue to grow and mature in my life. And it has nothing to do with getting older. Because as Hunter, as you were probably listening to Hunter monologue at the fire last night, talking about love, you had to be going, interesting. Because it's not just your average, I saw this girl, we fell in love, blah, 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 blah. There's something greater depth right there. There's some learning. Hunter?
Well, Rosie and I were talking about this over by the kitchen. I think it was either last night or the night before. She was asking me about my pursuits in the future of getting married and everything. And once as long as, for a few years now, I've been working in how to be the best husband I can be. And I have an individual, he's been such a great blessing in my life. He's older, he's been married 50 years, has 11 children, and he gave me the same concept you gave, but he fragmented it a little bit differently. He structured it differently. He called it the 3 pillars of what holds a marriage together. and he had kindness and generosity, then he had respect, then he had sanctity. And so my question is not going into detail about each three of those and what that looks like in its depth. Can respect and kindness and generosity go hand in hand as something you're displaying simultaneously, or is one more critical than the other? You know what I'm saying? Or do I need to first display kindness and generosity in my time and my money and my energy or whatever, and through that you understand there's boundaries about that person that are never yours to cross. Like, they have mail, I don't open their mail, that's their mail. And the other different things, that's theirs, that I have no right to cross or look into unless they share it with me. Can they be, because they're both super important. The 3 steps, the 3 pillars, they're hand in hand. But as far as the first step of that relationship, would it be respect, or is it kindness with generosity, or are they just hand in hand and there's no really
Well,
separation?
first of all, the person that you're talking about's got the fruit on the tree, don't they? So it's kind of hard to beat that. 50 years, 11 kids. It's kind of hard to beat. All right? So to disagree with that would be kind of silly on my part. To say, but in my personal perspective, which is slightly different, I say you have to start with respect. Once you have respect, now you can be loving and generous. Because now your love, your generosity, your hesed, your kindness has boundaries. Versus if I'm just loving and kind, I could be manipulating the hound out of you. Okay? I mean, that's me. I just know me. Okay? But if I know there's a boundary, and I know you well enough to where this is a boundary, okay? Like the funny one-liner was, at the first colonic, I'm free. Veronica's, I'm not that free. Okay? But I respected your boundary by not ever coming into a colonic, which, as Suzanne will tell you, I go in because I'm asked to go in, and people feel free with me going in there and doing whatever, but I knew there was a boundary. And so if that boundary, now in that boundary, then what I can do is I can demonstrate this loving kindness to you because now you feel safe and secure. But the individual is obviously talking about his marriage and showing the loving kindness, and that makes a big difference.
I'd say once you're married, the first ingredient would start with respect, and then when you become married, from there you're moving forward with respect, but now it's also kindness and generosity, also in understanding the fragility of the relationship.
I put those here. That's what I put in love. Okay, because love is always giving. For instance, I had a person ask me here recently, just to be straightforward with you. They said, well, would you ever do this with your wife, if that day ever comes, would you ever do this with your wife, in the bedroom? And I said to this person, I would never do anything to my wife in the bedroom that was not pleasing to her and she thoroughly enjoyed for herself, for her benefit, for her pleasure. I would never, ever, and I never have, but I would never do anything. I would never ask for something. Like, let's try this. Never. Because she has a boundary. And so, but in the intimacy, and then if something moved into that realm and it was unnatural, I probably wouldn't even go to that realm anyway, because that's not her boundary, that's just God's boundary. Okay? And if I'm having to go to those types of things, then chances are I'm probably not manifesting the greatest intimacy that I should be towards my honey bunny, to where I can just do things the way that God intended to do. So anyway, that's even respect within the marriage bed. So pretty important. Some things to think about. It's a good day. Thank you for filling my belly with a beautiful breakfast. Thank you, Hunter, for